Okay. Before we get to the allegory of the cave, did you enjoy that little piece?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Notice I didn't set up the scene because everybody was, almost everyone raised their hands. And so you know what the film is about. It's about the ominous side of artificial intelligence taking over and making us, the human beings, their slaves, right? The artificial intelligence of the matrix and so forth. And using us as batteries for the existence and the sustenance of artificial intelligence. Fooling us into living in the Platonic cave. How many people in this room are familiar with Plato's Allegory of the Cave? Good number of you. Well, I'll try to be as concise as possible in 5-6 sentences and tell you about this. Plato, this is part of his masterpiece, The Republic, where it's done in dialogues. And Plato talks about the cave. It says, what if, imagine, if human societies were such, where we're living in this cave, right? We're chained, and these people right here are chained, and they can't turn around and see their back of their heads and what's going on behind the wall and so forth. They're against the wall, and all they see is these shadows of figures. And they tend to be entertained by the shadows, moving about, telling them stories and so on. And there are people, and here in this particular graphic, they're painted as the priests to show the role that religion played, particularly in the Dark Ages, with this stuff. Moving about these little figurines and creating the shadows. So these people sitting in the cave are seeing the shadows, thinking that is the reality. Right? That is the reality I live in. I like the Matrix. Right? And Plato played a thought experiment in some ways. He says, what if one of these people somehow, miraculously, was able to unchain himself and leave the cave, see the sun, reason about it, use reasoning to recognize that there is another side to reality, and actually what he was experiencing in the cave is not a reality, but it's a make-believe stuff thrown at him to control him and everybody else within the little community. So naturally, Plato, being the moral philosopher that he was, concluded that that person has a moral responsibility to return to the cave and enlighten others at the risk of his own death. In other words, our moral obligation to change society, to be an agent of transformation, does not stop when our lives are in danger. In other words, it's a humanistic, universal principle for us to help others become enlightened when we are enlightened. So the Matrix is set up on the Allegory of the Cave, in my view. My interpretation is this way. Of course, there are allusions to Messiah and so forth, because if you recall, seeing the film, Neo is the one. Right? And the one is always the messianic agent in most Abrahamic religions, right? How many?
3.
2 out of 3? Yeah. Okay. Let me just, it is about my book, so let me read an excerpt from the book here regarding the Matrix and see if this makes sense to you guys. Because this is how I see Matrix affecting people. The film compels us to ask whether one's mind is confined to a circle of its own ideas. One memorable line of the film is fitting here. Neo says to Troy, "You ever had the feeling that you're not sure if you're awake or still dreaming?" You guys recall that line? Well, maybe you'll see the film after this talk. One is instantly reminded of another famous quote by Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. And this is how the dream goes. Lao Tzu's. "The other night I dreamt I was a butterfly flitting from flower to flower. Now I do not know if I was a man dreaming I was a butterfly, or whether I am now a butterfly dreaming I am a man." The Matrix is very effective at forcing a suspension of disbelief. You remember the last slide I showed you. Giving its main thesis. And it is also very good at compelling us to project and identify with Neo, given the postmodern condition of aloneness we find ourselves in. So I'll stop there with the Matrix and move forward Now, this particular film, Syrian,